So in this video, I'm just going to discuss the commonalities between the goddess Freya and Frigg. Are they the same person? Historians have been arguing about that for years. So let's break them down and have a conversation together about this, because when you start breaking down the sources, you start to see something strange happening. So let's break all that down. So in the texts, they present them as two separate goddesses. Freya belongs to the Aesir. She is the wife of Odin and is heavily associated with kinship, marriage, prophecy, and the political structure of Asgard. And then we have Freya, who belongs to the Vanir. She's tied to Seidr magic, sexuality, fertility, battle, and the dead. We know that half of the slain that die in battle, they all don't go to Valhalla. They go half to Freya, half to Odin. Okay, so that part, pretty straightforward, right? So here's where it gets interesting. So there's a bunch of overlap between them. So there's commonalities, but there are things that separate them. So both goddesses are deeply tied to fate, hidden knowledge. We know that Freya taught Odin Seidr, magic, how to do magic. They both possess feather cloaks that are associated with transformation. Both are linked to grief and weeping. Both occupy positions of immense feminine authority within the cosmology of Norse paganism. And then you talk about their husbands, okay? And that's where the similarities start melding together. Maybe this is the same person. Okay, so Frigg is married to Odin. We know that. We know that. But Freya is married to Odor. That's a very and they're both mysterious figures who are largely absent from the surviving material. And Freya's husband, linguistically, is very tied to the name Odin. They pretty much have a very similar name, and we know that Odin goes by many names, which starts to raise questions for me. And Freya's not originally a personal name. A lot of people don't know that. It simply means lady or mistress in Old Icelandic. So think about that. Frigg also appears connected with the terms meaning beloved or wife. Is it a side chick situation? I don't know. So now we're going into both figures whose names have a lot of functionality. They're not just titles. That seems to be a little bit more terms of endearment. At that point, many scholars begin asking whether these are truly two separate entities, or maybe it was Freya and she was his lady and then became his wife. That's a good point. Norse tradition has preserved so many fragments of an older deity that whose identity was actually what I think Freya Frigg is, and then as that identity went and through the ages, I think it split in two. That's me. So the idea becomes more compelling when you step back and look at the broader Germanic world. Religious traditions kind of shifted, and it wasn't just like they weren't doing the same thing in Denmark that they were doing in Norway. It was completely different. And then they do a lot of oral culture, oral stories. They didn't write a lot of stuff down, so a lot of things that we get are from secondhand, from the Roman soldier, from Snorri Sturluson. So we don't have a lot of first-hand accounts. But by the Viking Age, the surviving Norse material presents Frigg and Freya as two different distinct entities, goddesses, deities. So at the same time, traces of the older connections do exist right beneath the surface of the Frigg and Freya myths. And I think, if you ask me, that this discussion is really important. It reveals how mythology develops over time, and these traditions were living traditions, living systems that carried through oral transmission and for generations. Sit by the fire and tell stories. They didn't write stuff down. I wish they did. Trust me, it would make my religion so much easier. But there really is an argument to be made of one deity branching out into two. So when modern scholarships debate Freya and Frigg, they are really discussing something much larger: how ancient people understood divinity, memory, identity, and the evolution of the sacred tradition itself. So to end this video, because I didn't want to go super long, I'm going to make a super long video. If you guys want it, I'm not obviously not going to take my time to do it if you guys don't want to do it. But I can break down every single source for each goddess that we have, and we can follow the trail together. So to end this video, I think in Proto-Germanic times, there was a goddess, right? Tied to Odin, his wife, right? But as we moved further through history, whether it was the split came in Norway or the split came in Denmark or old Icelandic splits, I think that it was the same person, like its origin was the same person. And as things evolved, as they maybe traveled outside their region and saw other ancient religions and how they do stuff, maybe that has a influence on why this primary goddess splintered into two pieces. Anyways, I've got my husband's favorite wine here, and I'm gonna go finish it before he gets home. I'm rambling. I'm gonna go do that. Have a great day.